18th Plan Commission meeting. The first order for the meeting minutes approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from February 18th, 2026.
I'll second.
Mr. Chairman, before you approve, I'd like to draw your attention to a correction. In the meeting minutes says, I was present, I was not present. So that needs to be corrected.
Okay.
And I should be excused from the voting.
I am as well, because I was not here.
No, you are marked excused, but not me. And I don't have a ghost.
Okay.
That you know of.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second for
Thanks.
approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. It's approved. New business. I guess it's Sam, you got this one?
Yes.
Washington Avenue Site Plan Review, SP 25-15.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, the applicant on behalf of IBEW Local 430 proposed an 11,500 square foot local business office and meeting hall for their general membership. They described the additional building and operation details within their application narrative. The staff reviewed the applicant's original submittal last December and provided 10 review comments, and the applicant revised the plans, met all 10 review comments, and resubmitted these plans for Plan Commission consideration. The staff comment, that's meant to be commend, not comment. The staff commend the applicant for their willingness to be creative in addressing the staff comments, particularly note the over an acre of prairie restoration contained within the landscaping plans for the restoration, which I'll also note is the pre-settlement condition here. This was originally prairie before it was farmed, so they're bringing it back to what it was. The staff thanked the applicant and the property owner for considering also the village's request to use the new hall once constructed as a potential poll location. That request is above and beyond the Plan Commission's review authority today, but does demonstrate a willingness by the property owner to discuss ways in which they can be a part of the community and contribute to their local government operations. So just wanted to call that out. It was kind of a nice side benefit that we brought up with them. Still have to work out plenty of details, but it's nice for people to consider our request. I think this would be a nice poll location once it's open.
Well, especially with the advancement of all the housings that's going on out that way.
Yes, exactly. And it being built to modern, building code and ADA standards is certainly not lost on us as well. From the comprehensive plan, the application complies with the comp plan, which designates the property as commercial, with a small portion at the north end designated as park, recreation, and natural areas. The application also complies with the park and open space plan and master bicycle plan. The application meets the requirements of Chapter 90 of the Code of Ordinances, which is zoning. The applicant used alternative compliance procedures in 2 instances, which we wanted to call out to your attention. The first is the applicant used the alternative compliance procedures permitted for reducing the building height below the 2-story minimum. They're about 2 feet short of the minimum building height, so they're at 22 instead of 24 feet for the C3 zoning district. We found that the site met the alternative compliance subsections of 1, 2, and 5 within those alternative compliance procedures. So they did things like provide the natural landscaping area surrounding their stormwater feature, which is kind of above and beyond the normal stormwater requirements. They're providing some pedestrian connectivity to West Road, even when there aren't adjacent trails or sidewalks in this area. So that is going above and beyond as well. And they are providing that natural open space protection that I mentioned in the comprehensive plan towards the north end of their site, which qualifies them for alternative compliance. Additionally, the applicant used the alternative parking dimension features for the parking spaces. And I recommend that you all find that the application meets the regulations contained within that subsection to permit slightly larger parking stall sizes, as described within their narrative and shown on the site plans. In short, obviously a building that is geared towards members of a union who drive a lot of work trucks, they want some slightly larger parking stall sizes. They went through the effort to meet all the alternative parking dimension requirements that you all approved just a few months ago, which includes still meeting the parking ratios that are required. The sizes aren't overly big. They're just within 10% of our standard sizes, and provided a few other odds and ends in terms of landscaping that kind of cross-counted for the other alternative compliance procedures, like that prairie restoration surrounding the back portion of the property. The village strategic plan The application meets a village strategic plan and a few key strategies and outcomes, including our partner and promote, balanced growth and development outcomes as noted in the staff report. And we all recommend that you move to approve SP 2515 with no conditions.
Any questions? Nancy?
Sharon, first of all, I'd like to, I was kind of surprised that there weren't 500 guys in here, because when we had a previous approval for, I believe it was the Microsoft project, there were at least 100 of them in here. So I was expecting to meet the group today, but that's okay, 3 is fine. That's all good. My daughter's a member of another IBEW union through We Energies, so I had asked her if this was her group, and it's apparently a different group. But I think this is great. As always, Partner in Design does an amazing job with their architecture. Mr. Molinaro's here. And my only question is regarding Wood Road, or West Road, and the crossing of 20. Are we gonna, I can see that as being a big cut through, because people coming up for meetings from the south would take West Road as opposed to H at the light. I'm a little worried about that. Is that an issue for anybody?
Yeah, this isn't big enough to qualify for them for a full traffic impact analysis, so we didn't take a detailed traffic look at it. But I know that stretch of Washington Avenue is on the DOT plans for resurfacing, I think in the next 10 years, but I can look into that and provide the commission an update on when that exact timeline
I
is.
could just see a lot of cross traffic,
One
potential.
one comment I would have with that is it can't be any worse than when we have our compost site open on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Oh, okay, well, there you go, okay. All right, you have experience, all right.
That's a very busy intersection.
And I also applaud the larger parking spots. I wish more places would do that. The older I get, the more room I need in my parking spot. I don't drive a pickup, but, So anyway, I have no other comments or questions other than to make a motion to approve.
I have a couple of
Larry,
questions.
go ahead.
Could we get I think that's a formal
I
motion.
second the
Could we get a
motion.
Second, yeah.
Oh, is there already a motion on? Sorry.
Yeah. No.
Sorry, I jumped the gun.
Let it rip, Larry.
Is there a plan for connection to the property to the west for access in the future? Is there any thought given to tying this parking lot at the southwest, is that right, southwest corner, into perhaps the adjacent piece, that whenever it is developed at some point, that there should be some way to get out of this parking lot other than doing a T turnaround? That's not a very user-friendly solution, in my opinion. And
that could be
I think in
extended.
the future, it would be helpful, I think, for their own use, to have a connection and possibly an access onto Route 20.
We did not require that as part of this application, but the site plan and the way it's set up wouldn't prohibit that negotiation in the future
Yeah, I think
from
some
happening. so-
consideration should be given to that at some point. Also, how often do you think, I'm going to direct this to perhaps Mr. Molinaro, how often do you think this parking lot is going to see full capacity or near capacity?
Unless you have any other questions for me, I'll give Mark the floor.
Because I do have a question yet, too.
Bring it on.
Okay, in regards to, I saw on there you have an possible additional building going there. Is the parking lot already set up for that, to be able to handle that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's sized appropriately for both, based on their applicable needs. So that expansion should be good on, at least from a zoning code requirement, either way.
That's what I'm concerned about.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mayor.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mark Molinaro, Partners in Design Architect, 652nd Street, Kenosha. Other than a couple of faces, I see you got some real trouble on this commission, so. Let me go back to the question about connectivity. Certainly, we're set up in a way that if there is any access or any construction that happens, development happens west, more than happy to make that connectivity. Fully expect that would be the case. Typically, you don't like a dead-end parking lot, as we're showing, given the type of use that's in this building. Anyone and everyone that goes there is there knows that, knows the facility, knows the property, right? There's no public coming in here on a consistent basis. From that standpoint, we wouldn't typically like to see a parking lot laid out the way we have it, but we don't think we'll have much concern there with the majority of the parking being on that east side. And then likewise, we're kind of hamstrung by that floodplain and conservancy and pond on the backside of the property, so.
Understood.
And then your other question was,
Whether or not, given that you're parked with adequate capacity for the future addition, would you consider not putting in that asphalt until such time that you would need the addition? In other words, if these are gonna start growing grass through the cracks because nobody ever parks there, I'd rather not see it.
sure. So here's the issue with that. I think the short answer would be yes, we'd be open to that, and we'll know at the end of the month whether we have to consider it if we come in a little bit over budget. But I would suggest that we probably don't want to do that right now. So the building is set up on a typical basis. We'll have anywhere from 7 to 10 people in the building, if I'm not mistaken, from a typical occupancy. And then up to 3 times a year, roughly 3 times a year, they'll have their union meetings. And we're sized right now to accommodate when they have that influx. And they have a meeting at least a year, typically their holiday meeting, where they really get the membership to turn out. So we'd have some concerns. I don't think you'd like what would happen then on West Road in terms of parking on the road if we cut that asphalt out right
That's my
now.
question. You think
So
you're
that
gonna
would be our
need to-
concern, and I would say it's to your benefit, meaning the village, not to have cars parked on West Avenue if we can avoid it, or West Road if we can avoid it.
Understood. That's all I have.
Okay. Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, I do have a comment. Well, first comment is obviously, I'm not concerned about the design because anything that's designed by partners in design, to me, that's an A+. I worked with
Well,
Mark.
We appreciate the
I know Mark
comments,
for all
thank you.
these years, and almost everything that Gateway has built has been designed by him. So I don't have any concern. I like the design, I love it. My only comment is, and that's basically mostly for the village. I know that it's in our ordinances and it allows that, but I'm never comfortable with the statement that in lieu of the sidewalk, we can accept the payment. To me, that beats the purpose, because when you say in lieu of the sidewalk, we can accept the payment, to me, then it's all about the money. It's not about the safety, it's not about the public, and I see the statement and I felt strongly enough to make that comment. Again, it's not directed at you. I think, in my opinion, that needs to be revisited. It's a separate topic, but that's my concern. Other than that, I love the design. Thank you.
Not that it matters, but Mount Pleasant isn't alone.
Yeah.
Almost every municipality does payment in lieu of in situations like that.
I
so.
know that, but that to me, I mean, it's almost like I don't want to mix the issue, but it's almost like when you get a ticket on the road, you're not speeding, we'll give you a non-moving violation, but you give us some money. No. When you don't obey with the law, you don't obey with the law. It should not be always about the money. That's how strongly I feel. But anyway.
I would
Yeah,
only just
Robin.
chime in that,
Yeah, please.
that while that would be, I totally understand what you're getting at if that went to like some sort of general fund or whatever, but that those payment in lieu of go to a specific sidewalk fund. So essentially, instead of building a sidewalk where they think it doesn't make sense and through a process we agree, we put it into funds so we can fill in gaps and where sidewalks are more direly needed. So we will be building a more complete sidewalk infrastructure network through the use. So everybody pays the same amount, everybody's on equal footing, and where it doesn't make sense, that funding is used to build sidewalks where it does make sense. So that's.
Thank you, Robin. You know, I like the response and I appreciate that. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. But that means that I'm going to keep my eyes on the budget. I want to see a separate line on that. Yeah.
In regards to that, is the building set back enough where they could put a sidewalk in at some point in time?
Oh, absolutely,
Yes.
Okay.
absolutely.
I think it's a little tight at West Road, right at the corner where the property is notched off. It's cut back at the southeast corner. I think the pavement looks, at least on your site plan, that it might be a little tight for sidewalk there.
Yep. I think any sidewalk in this circumstance would likely be a much larger DOT project where we're looking at probably urbanizing the section of Washington Avenue. So the right-of-way would be completely reconfigured at that point in time. So that's why we didn't really look at exact distances, because there's probably a lot of interplay between the DOT-owned right-of-way, what's on the private property, but they meet all our zoning setbacks for now. And I think if there were impacts to it, that would be partially for the DOT to, go through the property acquisition process if it came to that. But it's a pretty wide road out there right now, so we don't have preliminary concerns about that at this time.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm looking for a motion.
We had the motion. We
Oh.
had the motion on the
Well,
second.
that's right, we did already, that's
Yeah.
right. Sorry, 'cause
I
Nancy-
jumped,
discussion
Nancy-
after.
I jumped the gun. I didn't
No,
realize
that's
there
okay.
would be.
No, actually, it's good because, you're supposed to have the discussion after the motion.
There you go.
Yeah,
we can.
Following the rules.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimous. Good luck and look forward to it.
How great it was to work with Sam, getting us through this process, so appreciate it. And while he was out on paternity leave.
Doing my best here to
Perfect.
cross cut.
Thank you, and good
Thank
luck,
you,
guys.
Mark.
We're good.
See you.
All right, next on the agenda is Luann Drive Certified Survey Map, CSM 26-01.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, let me just get through all these plans here. The applicant applied to divide the existing 3.1 acre lot into 4 lots. Each lot is just under 30,000 square feet with 150 feet of frontage along Luann Drive. The application also dedicates the 33 feet of right-of-way to the public along Luann Drive. Right now, the property lines go to the center of the roadway, so they're cleaning that up. The application complies with all the elements of the comp plan and meets the ordinances contained within Chapter 74 for land division, except those within the conditions for approval. The zoning code or the lots comply with all the zoning requirements for it. The property is zoned RE, so these 4 lots are kind of what we'd consider more or less perfectly sized RE lots. They're all even above the minimum half-acre requirements. The frontage checks out, everything like that. From a strategic plan perspective, this meets our balanced growth and development key strategy and outcome. And our recommendation includes a few conditions, including 1, modifying Luann Road to Luann Drive within the map on sheet 2, modifying the map to show structures on adjacent properties within 100 feet. 3, modifying the map to show existing and proposed lot lines, dimensions of size of lots, and the minimum lot area required by the zoning district in which the land division is located. 4, showing the utility information out there. As an aside, these properties neither have water nor sewer. There is an adjacent sewer that normally would be required to be extended, but in talking with Public Works, the elevations don't work out for this section of Luann Drive. So they'll have to get the temporary holding tank permissions until which sewer could come from the east to serve these properties, which is a ways down the road. There's multiple properties in the middle between Hoods Creek and here, so maybe by 2050 will these properties have sewer service. But the lots are sized appropriately enough where they could do private sewer. They're larger lot sizes. And then finally, modifying the map to show the required shoreline setbacks. All of these properties lie within the shoreline zoning area due to their proximity to Hoods Creek, although none of them lie within the mandatory 150-foot setback. So in our shoreline zoning, we kind of have a 300-foot buffer as a notification just to look at it, but when we investigated it, none of them are within that setback area. But they should denote that they technically lie within the shoreline zoning on the face of the CSM. From a fiscal impact, we looked at just 4 detached houses on the properties, and it performs right at a 1-to-1 revenue to cost ratio. It's a little bit low on the private to public ratio, but we were fairly conservative in our estimates for new home builds on these properties. So you know, I would expect them to likely perform a bit better, but regardless, it's above, you know, has a positive net revenue in over a 40-year projection period. So these are not going to cost the village money per our projections. With that, we recommend approval, subject to those conditions. I can answer any questions that you have.
Anyone?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Sam,
ma'am.
I had reached out to you earlier in the week. My only concern, and I don't know if it's been to Public Works yet, but was that there is an existing temporary T on there. And I think that should be noted on Lot 4 as an easement.
Yeah, I'd be fine with adding that condition.
Okay. So are they allowed, a second question, I apologize, are they allowed to also put mounds in?
It's a little bit of a gray area. So the zoning ordinance says that the extension of the sewer is required. However, it's not technically feasible by engineering standards. So if they can fit in a mound system, I think we would be open to it. Otherwise, the holding tanks would be fine as well for us. So similar to in some of the other moratorium areas, kind of on the center east part of the village where we've allowed those, this is one of those circumstances where, you know, it's due to engineering constraints, that's a reasonable accommodation for these lots. So,
Yeah, I recognize that. Some of the areas where we're in moratorium, though, the lots are smaller. I
Yes.
would just think if I were a homeowner, a buyer of one of these lots, I'd probably rather have a mound because it is more permanent and doesn't require that ongoing maintenance, and if the pumps go down, and, you know, this way, I would hope we would allow it, I guess, is my suggestion, and if in fact a home buyer wanted to use that, because I think it'll be a long time before we see sewer here.
Yeah, agreed. This generally meets our sewer requirements, so as long as they go through the proper plumbing permitting channels, like I'm fine with it, and I think the board and planning commission can be fine with it. So really just, you know, Bob and the sewer utility will have to issue those applicable permits if that's what they apply for.
That was my
Thank you.
same question I had about it.
Yeah. However they want to solve it, as long as it meets our plumbing codes, it's good by me.
Thank you.
I do have one question in regards to who's making this application. I know it's the family, it looks like the owners are here, but we don't have anything in our packet that says this is, you know, Mr. and Mrs., I'm not sure what that is, Bertzik, maybe? I don't know how you pronounce that. But normally we would have that, you know, here that, you know, they're doing it, or who's doing this on their behalf, or is the village doing this?
Yeah, we are not. It is a private applicant. I'm pulling up the official applicant right now in our permitting system. We're working through the final back end of the Granicus thing, so I'll make sure to take that as a note to include that on
It
future
does have the
ones.
owner's name on the third page of the CSM.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that, but you gotta go hunt for it. Normally, we would have that, who the
No, I
applicant is on
under-
the front page, typically.
Right, we'd have a
it's-
summary or,
Exactly.
It is not the owner. The applicant was a realtor on their behalf.
Okay, so that,
But we will make sure to note that in the future. I'll
Yeah.
work with Jill to get that built into the system a little bit more clearly.
yeah, thank you. Okay. Any more questions? Not, I look for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve I move to approve that the planning commission, oh gosh, I gotta reword that.
recommend.
I
approve.
recommend the planning commission approve CSM 26-01 to the Board of Trustees, subject to the listed condition and the condition my colleague trustee Washburn mentioned. Can you
For the
repeat that,
temporary
please?
T turnaround.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimously passed, so here we go.
All right.
Excellent.
Well, we're a little bit early for George's items. I told him 1:30, so that's my bad. I'm sure he's on his way shortly. So why don't we kick it over to Robin and Matt to talk through that staff report while we're waiting for George.
I didn't recognize Matt. I think he hasn't shaved since he left, I think, huh?
I know, it freaks me out. It freaks me out, I keep,
Oh, okay, yeah, this thing is. So, hi, Robin, planner as well as code enforcement officer. So Matt's been with us since summer last year, and has been taking over more of the municipal complaint enforcement, from just writing the letters, getting out there, doing the inspections, and working with the courts and stuff like that. So, and I do kind of, I still, obviously, we work hand in hand. I do the nerdy code stuff as far as what portion of the code applies where and all that sort of stuff. And I also helped with some of the analysis for this to do our comparison. So you want to. In general, I just kind of ran the Q1 2026 numbers versus 2025, and it looks like it's like a complete massive change. But the thing is, it's all from DPW snowstorm complaints. So that last year had 67 of those, and this year we have only had 12. As a matter of fact, the public nuisances and zoning led complaints are actually up a little bit. So at 68 snow ice winter operation complaints, now we've done more junk vehicles, stored, property maintenance, and dealing with signs and signage. And this is a same comparison, but running basically since Matt started, and from the year prior. So still that DPW, it's a little bit more even in this one, where with those ranges, because you have like snowstorms and stuff. And yeah, that's basically it. Matt, you want to talk about how your enforcements are going?
Yeah, so as Robin said, a lot of the things are dominated right now by the snow and ice removal. Just for instance, we do get, this is obviously a slower time. I started in July, so July, August, September, October. A lot more things coming in than over the winter besides the snow and ice. We still do get a fair amount though. Just to give you an example of a couple things we're following up on, we've got one complaint where it's about a half-acre lot and there's 33 junk trucks parked in the yard. So obviously, if you are a neighbor there, you're not too happy with that, and we all know that a property that looks like that can certainly bring down some property values. But yeah, it started in July. Some of you are familiar faces. If you don't know me, I retired from the police department back in 2024. So I was retired for a little over a year. This opportunity arose, and it's been very nice. I'm certainly glad I'm doing it. So thank you.
Yeah, I guess the only thing to add is that I don't have the actual kind of numbers to show it, but basically in the 2026 was like the first time in a while that we actually closed more complaints than opened. And that means that we're catching up on a backlog. Like there's always been an open complaint backlog, and you know, I had been working with Matt, going back and checking older complaints that we hadn't really maybe resolved, or we didn't get follow-ups on, or we just didn't know what happened. So we would go back and investigate old and open ones to hopefully close them out and move forward. So, and with that, we've been a little bit more proactive about enforcement. So, yeah, it's good stuff, and it works well for everybody. So, he's obviously used to just driving around sometimes.
jeez.
What? You know, going back to your younger days, just driving around, enforcing? Honestly.
We are recording this, Robin, just FYI. as
No,
I'm always reminded.
Matt's background is perfect. It's like, you know, from like, you know, doing PR stuff and, you know, working with people on the later things, and then working with citizens and all that sort of stuff. It's actually a perfect mix, and as opposed to just a nerd like me trying to talk people down. I think it works really well. So, yeah, that's it.
No, I'm happy to see that we're catching up on old ones, and you know, this does make a difference because it allows us, with having Matt on the payroll in his position, it allows us to really follow up on these complaints, because sometimes you see the complaints are ongoing and the people feel like we're not listening to them, and, you know, this is a great way for us to try and wrap some of that up and gain some confidence in the community, as long as Matt doesn't scare him to death with when he goes to the door. Just kidding.
I would.
Thank you, though.
I would just be like, yeah, that's impressive, you know. All right, thank you.
All right,
So
thank you.
That's it for us. So I'll go backwards.
Yep. And now George.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you for bouncing around for me. I actually just got off the phone with a applicant who is donating a park bench just 2 seconds ago, so I apologize for being late. So the first item agenda was just the review of our donation and gift program policy as it relates to benches, trees, picnic tables, those smaller amenities that you see in our parks. So for this year, when I was doing just the annual review, I eliminated the term memorial. As most cases, it is a memorial bench, but we do have cases where we've done just a table that's just like, you know, come to our park, or just somebody wants to donate a tree. So eliminating the memorial from it and having it more generic. The rest of the content did stay the same. The pricing stayed the same. Just cleaned up a little bit on the formatting on the actual application to try to be more consistent from fonts and that type of thing for what we do with some of our other forms. But we reviewed the pricing. The pricing is still good because, again, we're not looking to make profit off of these donations. We try to be as true to cost as we can, but we factor in the inflation, which is why a couple years ago we said for new pads, you got to pay for the concrete in addition to the bench or the table in itself. So, yeah, again, like I said, the policy itself hasn't changed very much. Anything that would be outside of these type of donations would likely need to go through the village's normal donation policies with like village board approval. So this is, again, just specific to those items that are smaller park amenities for this, so. Any questions on that?
Is the Pike River Parkway considered part of this system as
Yep.
well, if somebody wants to donate to the Pike River?
Yep,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. If there's no questions on that, then I'll move up to our quarterly update.
But
First-
you need a motion to approve the policy, what I'm reading.
I don't
over
think,
here.
did we vote formally on this last time, Sam? I don't believe, because,
Yeah, let's do it just to cover our bases. I put a note in the staff report that the village board is considering a wider donation policy as part of some revisions that Finance Director Casper is proposing to all of the finance policies. So this may get superseded at some point if the village adopts broader village donation policies, but for the time being, I think if you just want to move to approve this so we covered our bases, that's works for us.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was reading, you know,
Yeah, it is on here, so there's to approve it, so.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the 2026 Parks and Recreation donation and gift policy and application as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions beyond that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None? Okay, pass unanimously. Thanks, George.
great, thanks. All right, so now moving on to our quarterly update for Parks and Rec. I'm gonna start touching base from a facility rental standpoint. We are, gonna be covering basically the reservations that have been submitted from January through March, and the ones that have also taken place. So the only ones that we have currently taken place are at the Parks and Rec building. we have 33 reservations in these 3 months compared to 20 from last year. So we already saw a significant increase. Just this week, 5 out of the 7 days are being reserved between showers, birthday parties, card groups. So it's continuing to see even more use year after year. Our park rentals overall have also seen an increase as far as the amount of bookings that have been taking place. Now, these are going to be from anywhere between January and December, from as far as when they get invoiced for the reservation. So last year at this point, we had 42, and we're up to 62 already to start. So part of that increase, though, is the tracking we have done a little bit different. So some of the tourism events that are there, we've added them into the actual booking system. So like the Sounds of Sunset and the Bluegrass Fest, like those individual dates count as reservations now too, or the individual. So I don't want the numbers to seem really skewed high when we just didn't factor that into the actual reporting numbers from the previous year. And then this year, we have a baseball team that's come in and has added about 10 to 12 dates. So that's part of the reason we didn't have this group last year. So we are seeing more and more popularity. And I'd say the majority of the baseball or softball reservations are at Campus Park. We do have a couple stragglers at Stuart McBride. But overall, we're happy to see what's coming here, for the upcoming year. For the next quarter between April through June, we do have a couple of special events that will be taking place. The Packers Tailgate Tour, benefiting Habitat for Humanity, is happening at Campus Park on April 14th. Relay for Life is that first Friday night in June. And then ROAS and Brewfest Partners are having their beer garden again the last weekend of June at Smolinski Park. Moving on from the recreation side, we've got, again, another increase from the amount of registrations that we're seeing earlier on, which is good for us. So I'm going to report on those numbers a little bit different. To give you an idea, we had 110 people registered for, our kids registered for T-ball last year. We're at 48, so we're already at 44% of what we had last year with 30 days of registration. And that's been very consistent for softball and playgrounds, where we saw 48% for softball, 49% for playgrounds. So we're almost at halfway of what we've already registered in 30 days. So we're very happy with where the numbers are at this point for that. We'll see where we end up, but we already have one location that is for summer playgrounds at Campus Park. I believe it's our 4 to 8 year olds. We are 5 away from maxing out already. So, part of that is right now we did move or chose not to offer any programming at Droz just because we're waiting on a construction schedule. We do have it ready to go that if we know construction out there for the project will begin later than expected, we can reopen registration. We would just contact all the people that registered and see if they want to move back over. We have staff lined up to do it. So we're ready and equipped to expand if need be to accommodate more people and more ages. So kind of a good problem to have at this point. But yeah, so like I said, we're very happy with where those numbers are at this point. And then just a couple of other things. I mentioned the Droz Park construction. We have our first kickoff meeting with the architects next week. I'm working on finalizing new signage for the Pike River pathway, specifically addressing pathway etiquette and dogs on the pathway, as those are a lot of the questions and concerns that we get. We are hiring for park seasonal staff. The position just got posted last week. And then this Saturday, we do have our Cottontail Trail at 10 a.m. to noon. So come on out for the event. It's here at the Village Hall. Again, Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon.
One quick question, anything on cricket at all?
So
going
I
on with
had lengthy discussions with an individual last fall about the feasibility of a league that he wanted to run out there. The specific demands that they wanted were outside the scope of what we would do for the park. For instance, he wanted to have a pro level type of environment out there, which means we'd be cutting the grass on like green level, like golf green level, which would require us to have a certain type of irrigation and different types of mowers, and so it would be impossible for us to be able to do what we did. We had 2 cricket matches last fall out there, so the word is starting to spread out there. So, but yeah, that was what we discussed now was a potential partnership of offering like instructional classes and different things. So it's all still moving parts, but yes, those discussions have been happening on the background.
Mr. Chairman, if I can,
Yes, Rob?
I'd like to make a comment on a follow-up to your question. Like George said, the community, the Americans are getting aware of the cricket. Last few weeks when I was overseas, I happened to watch World Cup, T20 World Cup cricket, and I was very pleased to see US team. US is competing in the World Cup now, so they officially has a team, which I never knew that.
Who knew?
Yeah,
I
who
didn't
knew that?
even know.
Again, you know.
I didn't
And my
know
guess is,
cricket was a thing.
my guess is, not many people here not only aware of that, but they didn't watch it. But I saw a US team competing in the World Cup. So I think my point is that, you know, to your question, you know, the people here,
It's a
as the
growing
World Cup
sport, it
come,
sounds
as they compete internationally, it will become a, you know, awareness.
Well, we built the pitch out there so they could, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Have it, and I haven't seen any, I know the grass hasn't been ready. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
for-
me
for
too.
the
I'm
first
kind
2
of
years.
waiting like field or dream, you know, if they say, if you build it, they will come. We built it, but nobody has come yet.
Yeah, and so part of it is also they've shared comments about pricing and what we charge versus some of the other agencies. I haven't found a significant discrepancy in what we have as the price. If they're not willing to pay for the use, then you know we won't issue the permit. But yeah, it's I experienced this when I worked in Illinois. We had cricket groups and stuff, and they had other pitches that they would do. So I've got a little bit background of how the permitting should work, and I think we have everything right in place. And from the other communities that I've discussed with, you know, it's part of the thing too is that we built it, and if it doesn't come like you expect, it was designed in a way where we can put other programming out there. We can do lacrosse, we could do soccer, so, you know, aside from the additional concrete that was put out there, the rest of the grass and everything still has that multi-use aspect. So, yeah, I think it's, that's the hard part, right? If we wanted to rent it out to soccer groups on both sides, what would they be willing to pay? Well, that should be equal to what an entire pitch would be for cricket. So it's the value of the space. So yeah, it's a challenge. But again, that's why we designed it the way we did.
Can I ask, is pitch a term in cricket?
Yes. Just like soccer pitch.
Yeah.
It's a field.
It's a
I
field.
obviously don't know anything about soccer either.
Oh.
Just saying, so to me, it's like all Greek, but I think it's great that we have this, you know, this interest in a new sport. It's like pickleball. People are looking for different ways to recreate and more different types of sports. Is this more of a younger people's sport typically? See me out there playing cricket?
Not. I mean, it's the individual that I was working with. He was relatively young,
It's,
but I mean, it's
Outside the US is the number 1 sport,
Yeah.
number 2 sport in the world after soccer. After soccer. And the reason, you know, to your comment,
All day of soccer.
why I believe, this is just my opinion, because when we were designing and this was being considered, there were about 10, 12 young people over here who came to the village hall, and we listened to them. But most of them have moved out of our area. Most of them, they got another job, so they moved out. So that's the reason, we haven't seen any activity. But it is the most second most watched sports and played sport in the whole world. Like I just saw the World Cup, and you couldn't believe that how those the stadiums are packed, just like Super Bowl. Yeah.
That would be an interesting thing, to have them come out and do an exhibition, and then open it up to advertise it to the public, to come out and watch it, because I've never seen them. I've seen them on TV when I was over in China, and watching it on TV, but didn't understand it because it was all non-English. So
Yeah. And again, we did something similar with pickleball. We worked with one of the local pickleball clubs, the first opening of it, to have them come out. And so, like I said, once we realized that that this aspect of the potential league or something that would happen on a regular basis maybe wasn't the right fit, we moved the conversations to other things. So again, it's still early talks, but I would bet more than likely that we'll see something out there this summer.
Good, thank you. Okay.
Thank
Anything
you for
else?
the great job, though, George. You really have
George.
this, you've made all our dreams come true. I'm excited to see what happens at Droids Park, and thank you for putting up with the board and being patient on getting that funded for you, so,
Oh, yeah.
that's gonna be a nice park.
Yeah, we work with what we got, so we're very, very, very happy that the project went through. So just looking forward to get going.
I'm sure, we all are, right?
Benches primarily, yeah. One thing that has pivoted is, so our most popular phase on the Pike River pathway is what's considered like phase one. So we brought that to the commission 3 or 4 years ago, Joe. You might remember about that we weren't going to add any more to that particular section.
Right.
So what we've seen now is just last year, a new picnic table was put out there with a plaque to try to provide a different type of amenity, because we didn't want it to turn into a memorial walk versus what the original purpose, was for it. So that's why they submit the application. Does it fall in line with the comprehensive master plans? Does it make sense, from an amenity standpoint? That's why the review process is in place. But primarily benches. So at Campus Park, when there's a blank bench, we don't have to bring, those have already been approved to give staff discretion to put out the benches. So the one that I was on the phone with earlier, they're gonna replace one of our blank benches at the splash pad and have one out there. So, yeah. Just, yeah, majority benches.
It's always nice to have a place to sit.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thanks, George. Okay, I guess that leaves it to adjournment. Got a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I
Good
make a
job.
motion that we adjourn this meeting?
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 We're done.